I found lately that while I enjoy the process of writing and recording my videos, the part that I'm never quite so good at is the editing. I feel like it takes me way longer than it should to get even the most basic levels of editing done. And all the time I'll think of these little things I could do to improve a video's visual quality, like basic map animations, or highlighting an image, or some kind of sound design or some such. Even something as simple as zooming in and out on my face for comedic effect whenever it's relevant. But then, by the time I actually get to that stage in the editing, I usually don't want to dedicate however long to figuring out how to do something, and then spend an unnecessarily long amount of time trying to figure out like how to make it work, whether the timing works, and if this image is better than this one, things like that. And even when I know how to do something, when I know what it wants to look like, well, more often than not, I get lazy. I get a little impatient. I just want to get the video out of the gate so that the work can actually be seen. Ultimately, I feel like this content could be better, and more importantly, that it could be more regular as well. The way I see it, instead of spending hours and hours of time alongside a disproportionate amount of like emotional energy, doing the most like basic of basic editing stuff that isn't really all that impressive, instead I could be spending that same amount of time researching, writing, and recording. So I'd like to announce that I am currently seeking editors for my YouTube channel. Probably 2 individuals, but I really don't have any specific number in mind. I wouldn't be opposed to more people being, on retainer, so to say. I wouldn't necessarily have the funding, to hire out for like literally every video that I make, like a whole bunch of business right away. But it's my hope that I could give each person that I bring on at least 1 video per month to work on, and hopefully, again, as time goes by, I'll be able to give more work, as we go along, and as my productivity can improve, as income levels improve, all those sorts of things. So let's talk about requirements. I want you to edit the Brands F videos, but what exactly does a Brands F video entail? Well, first of all, I would not send you an entirely raw video clip. Much like this one has been done up, I would go through and sync up the audio with the video. As well, I would cut out any moments that I don't want to be As well, I would cut out any moments that I do not want to be shown, things like where I stumble and have to do a second take of something, much like that. I will send you a file that looks exactly like this current video and then ask you to pick it up from here. With that, I'd like you to aim for roughly 4 edits per minute of footage on average. Those edits would take the form of pretty much what you're used to. Things like flashing historical images on the screen, and fading in and out, fading into wider panoramas, and scrolling across them like you saw me do in my Zulu videos recently. Maybe some, again, very basic level animations, like a figure moving across the bottom of my screen, or perhaps a block moving from one side of the screen to another to represent an army moving across a map, that kind of thing. And like I said, of course, if I ever give some sort of a comedic reference, maybe a little zoom in on my face for the reaction, and then zoom back out, again, in proper time. Basically, I want you to make sure there's enough stuff happening on the screen so there's no incredibly long moments of me just standing here all boring like, the sort of thing that you're watching right now, just lecturing on and on and on as I go. Like I said, I'm looking for a very rough average of approximately 4 noticeable edits per minute of footage. So around every 15 seconds or so, and of course those edits would each take a few seconds themselves. So I think that it results in a pretty visually varied experience for the viewer. Again, treat it as a broad average. Some videos may need more, and others may not be so complex, and they would demand less edits. Even within a single video, there may be long portions where there's very little, if any, editing necessary at all, but then there may be other sections where I'm rattling off all sorts of statistics. 100 men marched for 20 days, eating 2 pounds of bread per day, or rations per day, and each wagon can only carry 200 pounds of munitions rations at any given point. Ergo, you need to have 10 wagons can last you for exactly this long on a march, and You get the picture, I'm sure. But the thing is that picture would certainly be a lot more clear, especially given how much I was stumbling there. It was a little off the cuff. It would be a lot nicer, of course, to have some fancy editing all around me to reflect that picture. I would also like some music to be included in more of my videos, and putting appropriate music in the background would also be a part of that job. For my part, I will be providing a hopefully ever-expanding library of music for you to use that is either copyright-free or that I got permission to use, so it's not like I'm saying, go find me some music, no, I'll be like, hey. As well, I'm going to be putting together a library of historical images, thoroughly sorted through and labeled and that you could also pull from. Of course, not every necessary image will always be in that library, and especially very early on, while that image library is still being built up, a significant part of your time would be you going out and finding appropriate images on your own. And then, of course, we can throw it into the library and sort through it all to have it for future reference. Of course, if I want anything in particular, like pictures or photos or videos or whatever, and I usually do always have a few things in mind, then I will make sure to communicate that with you, and I'll give you timestamps like, hey, I want this picture to flash at this point, or things like that. And similarly, of course, if you had any questions or concerns about whether a piece is appropriate in any given context, well, naturally, we would both be in good communication throughout the process, with each other, to make sure that we're all on the same page. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, of course. Finally, of course, you would need to put at the end of every video a credit sequence for which I would provide you with a list of names. And naturally, if you so choose, you would be fully within your rights to have your own name or social media handle or whatever in the video credits as well. I certainly would not mind you plugging yourself a little bit at the end of the video. And of course, finally, to the fun part, payment. I am currently looking at a figure of $5 US for every finished minute of video. So for a 20-minute long video, you would get around $100. And I'm expecting that to work out for theoretically around $25 an hour. Now that is also something I am very willing to negotiate. If you feel you're bringing something...
Never before in my lifetime did I ever see such a scene as was enacted when Lee pronounced these words. A yell rent the air that must have been heard for miles around. A courier riding by my side with tears coursing down his cheeks exclaimed, "I would charge hell itself for that old man."
The Texans held the position until reinforcements came.
You sure got ahead of those commies?
Yeah. Gee, those trucks sure look like the real thing, don't they?
I wonder where they got them from.
Probably bought them from the Army as war surplus.
Okay. Open up at 200 yards.
Don't feel the need to be like absolutely literal or absolutely serious with this entire project, because obviously, once I hire the editors, this video will be removed and it won't be any sort of permanent content. I have just noticed that my audio has died, but something tells me if you're already at this point, then you may be interested in, in helping me out. So, if you are so inclined, and you'd like to pursue this opportunity, you may have already guessed that I have made up an application process of sorts. I've been hinting at it all throughout this video, but as a quick little resume of a kind, I would like you to put your abilities to the test and edit this video. Or, at the very least, a segment of this video, totaling around 5 minutes. A little more, a little less. Whatever, that's fine. Choose any portion of this video that you think is best suited towards demonstrating your ability to edit this content according to the parameters which I set. And of course, have fun with it. Sort of permanent content. And of course, have fun with it. And of course, until the next time, my dear viewer, I am and I shall remain your most humble and obedient of servants.
Mandrake,
Yes, Dad?
have you ever seen a commie drink a glass of water? Well, yeah, I can't say I have, Jack.